Hi, North County Fire. This is a video on use and functionality of the four-wheel drive and high-low transfer case on our BME Type 3. This video is basically going to be in three parts. The first part is going to be all in-cab here, where I'm going to show you the basic functionality and what to do. And next is going to be a little bit of a video of underneath the unit, where we're going to kind of identify some parts so you can sort of see what's going on. And then the last part is sort of optional. This is more of a deep dive, maybe a little bit more of a gearhead. I found the video of a teardown of a transfer case, and I want to show you the components inside if that's helpful for you. That last part will be kind of optional. So here we are. I've got my engine in idle. It's in neutral. I've got the park and brake set. And the first thing I'm going to show you is just how to go in the four-wheel drive. And it's very simple. At any time below 10 miles an hour, doesn't matter park and brake on or off, neutral drive. Going to go ahead and just flip the switch up here. A couple things happen. I get a green light that's indicating that that's happening. And then hopefully immediately I'm going to be getting the front axle engage light on the dashboard there. So some things that you might notice. First of all, if you see this green light blinking on the dash, that I'm pretty sure that's indicating that you don't have enough air pressure. Every time that happened to me, I've been doing this a couple times, it's because the air pressure has been down about 90. But once I get this thing all the way up to about 115 or so, it seems to be working all the time. The other thing that happens is you'll get a green light here, but over on the dash side, the front axle won't be engaged. That's only happening when I'm stopped in drive or parked, or it doesn't matter at all. Every time I engage it with the vehicle rolling at a slow speed, no torque, just kind of idling forward, and I engage it, it's engaging instantaneously. So some of us have been taught maybe it's a good idea just to engage this when you're completely stopped, but it actually seems to engage smoother when you're rolling at 10 miles an hour or under 10 miles an hour. So if you get a green light here, but you're not getting it over there on the dash, the front axle's unengaged, go ahead and just put it in the drive, take off the brake, roll forward about 10 or 15 feet, and then it should just go ahead and engage on its own. So that is the front axle. To disengage, again, anytime, you simply turn it off. Okay, then the transfer case. Now the transfer case, for reasons that I'm going to show you later, cannot be engaged unless you're at a complete stop. So to engage a transfer case, you always need to be stopped, you always need your parking brake on, and you always need to be in neutral. And that doesn't matter if you're going in to high or low. So I've got all those, brake on, I'm in neutral. This is a 3-position switch. I'm in high now. That's neutral. And I'm going to drop it down to low. I went ahead and I heard that. And then you can go ahead and hit drive here. And now I'm in low. There is no indication on the dash or anything else which that it's actually engaged. So you're going to want to feel for the clunk a little bit. And then you're going to be good from there. To reverse it out, I'm going to go ahead and put it in neutral, come to a stop, set the brake again, wait a few seconds for everything to stop spinning, and then slowly go into neutral, back into high, hit drive, take off the brake, and then I'm in high. And again, you can do that with the front axle connected or disconnected, doesn't really matter. Just about any time we're in dirt or off-road driving, we're probably going to have the front axle engaged. And then if you're going to have to decide if it's just absolutely flat, easy roads, you're going to probably leave it in the high. But if it's anything more challenging, you're going to probably want to drop that down into low. It cuts your top speed in half by quite a bit, but you get a lot better traction and torque for the motor there. So that are the components of engaging and disengaging this. I'll meet you down below the engine where we look at the drive shafts and transfer case and where everything is located. Thank you. Looking at the bottom, I'm laying on the driver's side of the Brush 114 looking forward. You can see kind of right in the middle frame there, that is the front axle, a 12,000 pound front axle. The red is the oil pan from the Cummins motor. This is the transmission oil pan. That's the transmission. The larger, shorter, squatty drive shaft comes out of the transmission and then goes forward, or to the rear, I'm sorry, to the transfer case. That's the transfer case right there. and normally disconnected, but then this long shaft going back up to the front is the front drive shaft. So when you engage the front axle, that has torque to it, and then that starts spinning. Kind of an interesting. The reason we can do this when we're driving engage the front axle is that front drive shaft is spinning anyway, just from road friction, if you will. The front tires turn, so that's always turning. But meshing the gears is pretty simple because they're both basically connected to the road, and you can engage it on the fly. Looking back further, that's the drive shaft to the rear, and then that is the rear 26,000 pound differential, and the rear drive shaft on this is never disconnected. The other thing we've got inside the transfer case is, of course, the gearing to go from high, which is a 1-to-1, or low, which is, I think, like a 2.06 to 1. So that will basically reduce all your gears by the torque by 50% or 200%, depending on which way you want to consider it. Anyway, those are the big components of the transfer case and the four-wheel drive of our BMEs. So this is a look at the bottom of the rig as it's engaged. This is in two-wheel drive, but you can see the front axle, and then you can see the front drive shaft is turning because obviously it's connected to the road. And you can also see there the short axle going from the transmission to the transfer case, and then coming out of the back is the rear axle. This is in high right now. You can also see off to the right the pump PTO, which is not engaged. And then we've got our rear axle. Point of this is just to see how everything is engaged all together. Okay, this part is just a little bit more in depth, probably more than we need, but I thought some of us may find this interesting or just see how it works. This is another YouTube video, and he's doing a breakdown of a new Progress. I think it's a 241 transfer case. This is something that's on a smaller vehicle like a Jeep or a full-size Dodge or Chevy or something like that. But the components are pretty much the same. One small difference, this one has a metal belt inside or a chain. The ones we have in our Type 3s are all gear driven. But other than that, it's the same basic stuff and they all work the same.
Here we have my 241 that has been all torn down, and I just want to go through the various pieces so we can have an understanding of what we're talking about. You've got your 4-low shifter, you have your planetary gear reduction box, and this is where the input from the transmission engages into the main shaft. So transmission input, front drive shaft, rear drive shaft. As this guy turns, you have a 1-to-1 ratio in two-wheel drive high. So 1 revolution of the shaft is going to be 1 revolution of the drive shaft. This is how things look normally. To go to 4-wheel high, this slides back and locks the whole construct and will turn this chain, driving obviously the front drive shaft. These are the shift forks that will live on here that give you your nice shifter feel. Here we can see we have the box in 2-wheel drive. 1 rotation of the input goes directly to the rear drive shaft with no transfer of torque through the chain. As the shift fork is moved back, it will engage and we get 4-wheel drive. One of the most common mechanical devices that you will find in transmissions and transfer cases is a planetary gear set. This is the planetary gear set out of the NP241. These are the planetary gears, and inside you've got what's called the sun gear. Now, I'm going to put this into the case real quick so you guys can see how the mechanical advantage is created through the opposite rotation of the planetary gears to the sun gear to the ring gear and all in between. So the magic of the reduction assembly, this planetary drive, is harnessed through this range fork. You can see the 2 different sets of teeth in there rotating at 2 different speeds. Now, this shaft does not engage with any of these splines. In fact, this bearing surface down here at the bottom interfaces with this bearing surface right here. That's where this guy comes in. This will engage to either the reduction gear or the main drive gear. The rest of this will drop right in.
Okay, I just kind of want to bring this whole thing together and kind of review. This is an image we saw from a video earlier. This part here is the shift collar to go between high and low, and it'll slide left and right because it's on splines underneath that shaft there. And then these teeth here will engage in one of the two sets of gears on the inside of the planetary gear, depending on if it's in high or low. And as you saw in the video earlier, those gears are turning constantly, and they're turning at different speeds. And if we were to try to shift this into high or low while we are rolling, while those are spinning, we're going to cause damage, and it's probably not going to last very long. That's why you have to bring this to a complete stop, set the maxis, put it in neutral, and then go ahead and transfer between high and low so that those teeth can mesh with the gears without problem. The other thing I just want to point out is this other shift collar here, which is engaging the four-wheel drive. The reason we can engage a four-wheel drive while we're rolling is, as you saw underneath the unit, that front axle is turning that front drive shaft at the same speed. So everything is kind of meshed. So this collar engages or not, but it's engaging gears on both sides that are turning basically the same speed. That's it. Thanks for your patience, and let me know if you have any questions. Bye.